Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. Welcome to another episode of Brad's Vlog. And in this vlog I'm going to be talking about the ability to surrender. Now I'm just walking all across the beautiful beach here. Got an amazing view. And while I'm walking I'm always getting these downloads from Spirit, getting these downloads from God. And one of these downloads of course relates to the idea of the ability to surrender. You know, whenever I do my webcasts, whenever I do my videos, whenever I'm doing sessions with people, whatever medium I decide to do, there's always that odd question. Well, Brad, I really don't like that word surrender. It feels like giving up. It feels like just submitting to defeat. Well, that's exactly what it is. It is giving up on your self-conflict. It is going into a state of withdrawing yourself, being at rest, putting down the sword and putting down the shield, and just letting things be, right? So whenever you say, oh, I have a problem with this word, I have a problem with this term, you have to understand that when you see that word within your mind, it's your own cobwebs that are around that word, because somebody has given you a definition relating to that word, and you have poisoned that word. It doesn't become poison from somebody else. Nobody else can poison a word for you. It's your own definition that you have assigned because you have given value to how another person has termed it in their own way, and you've assigned it to yourself, right? So you have applied that very thing that relating to that term that you know you don't like, right? But you have to understand that surrender truly is the nature here. It is all about being able to put down the sword and put down the shield. Not to feel like you have to pick it up and go into a battle and say, well, how do I control my emotions? How do I manage my emotional situations? You're not managing them, right? All you're basically saying by managing is that this is a part of me. I'm always going to be suffering. Well, maybe I can do it. I can tinker with it a little bit to kind of wind it down a little. That's going to get you nowhere, right? Because it'll still be inflamed. It's like a virus, right? That has heavy inflammation within yourself. And it's like saying, well, I'm not going to get rid of the virus, but maybe I can just, kind of tinker around with it a little bit and just tell it, please just don't inflame me, right? And the virus is not going to listen to you. Say, hell no, I'm going to inflame you. I'm going to put you through a great deal of suffering because that is what I represent, right? And all of the things attached to the emotions are the viruses. So why are you trying to manage a virus? Why are you trying to manage something that is making you ill, that is making you sick, that is making you unhealthy, right? What do? You surrender to it. The ability to surrender is the ability to look at something wholeheartedly without resistance behind it. It is neutralizing yourself. It is coming to center. It is coming to home. And you are looking at these things that you know you need to neutralize, that you need to look at and say, I'm going to look at this wholeheartedly. I'm going to look at this objectively. I'm going to look at this impersonally. And when you surrender, you have no resistance to it. You finally see it for what it is. You see, many of us basically carry shame because this is what surrender does. We therefore feel ashamed in saying, oh my God, I've let this go on for so long. And because I've let this go on for so long, I've been suffering because of this. I don't want to have to realize that. But that's the truth, right? You have been putting in all of these heavy emotions, this shame, this disappointment, whatever else it may be. You're putting all that in. And you have to recognize that, right? And by surrendering, you look at something wholeheartedly. Now, you have to understand that when you go into the state of surrender, this is the step to bringing you into a deeper connection with Spirit, into a deeper connection with God. You have to understand that God is your heavenly parent, and that the more that you are able to bond together with God, the more that you're able to surrender and let God in, because God has been with you since the very nature of your soul. And God has told you, even from the beginning of this life, I am with you, and I will always love you. You are very dear to me and always will be. We haven't reciprocated that because we've been very much distracted by everything within this mortal physical world. But you see, the mortal physical world is not evil. It is not an evil thing. It is not a horrendous thing, right? People will feel that, well, because it's very dense, it's very solid. Yes, it's dense, it's solid, it's material, it's physical, but it's not an evil thing, right? We just get into this detesting of feeling because this is so solid and everything works so linearly, it needs to be something that needs to be scolded. It needs to be something that needs to be discarded. No. That would be no more different than saying that when I plant a seed in the dirt and I cover the dirt over the seed, the rain comes. And as the rain comes, the dirt gets all muddy. It gets so yucky, it gets disgusting, it looks nasty. But the weeks and months pass, and now here is a beautiful blossoming flower that is coming out of that mud, that is coming out of that dirt. Do we discard the mud? No. It was because of that mud. It was because of that dirt that we were able to blossom this beautiful flower that goes higher and higher and higher and comes into a beautiful bloom. And that is you raising past the aspect of the material, raising past the idea of mortality. And the way to do that in the most efficient way is to be with God, is to have God within you, is to feel God within you. God loves you more than you could ever know. Spirit is with you always. It is not like some parent who you feel has neglected you or hurt you or harmed you in any particular way. You look at the opposite of that on a greater level, and you have the nature of your heavenly parent. Your heavenly parent is always here for you, always going to support you, always going to encourage you, always going to love you. And you want to be a part of that very existence where God is with you all the time. You are creating your body temple. You're creating your church. You're creating your home. Inside this home is where God dwells. And God will talk to you all the time, support to you all the time, give you all the knowledge of the universe anytime you want it. But you got to learn to trust God. You got to learn to love God. You got to learn to form a relationship, a divine relationship with God. This is what I'm doing. And I just go to God with whatever I'm unsure of. And God answers all the time. It's a beautiful thing. So learn the ability to surrender. This is your first step towards bringing Spirit, bringing God into you, working with the Heavenly Parent, working with that unconditionality that God has for you, and you are bringing it through, and you are sharing it with Him, with her, and your life becomes enriched. You become that blossoming flower that goes all the way up to the sky, because the material plane, from what you have made harmony with, is that supporting dirt with all of those rich minerals that is allowing that flower to go all the way up to the sky. And that's who you can become. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care.